Hello and welcome to Challenges, Change and Creativity discussion series. What can you and I learn from the challenges other entrepreneurs have faced? I'm your host, Praveena Jagadish, outlier marketer and chair of the TiE Chennai Creative Special Interest Group. Everyone writes about success stories. Who talks about challenges? Business challenges, marketing false steps, how these bumps have fueled ambition and growth. That's what this discussion series is about. Our guest today is Dr. Praveena Jagadish, who's going to be talking about sales challenges and her challenges with recruitment and retention. Don't we all have this problem? Dr. Praveena, is a doctor. She and her husband Jagadish started a software technology company. Dr. Praveena is an oral physician and so passionate about technology that she jumped and made the switch in 2007. She co-founded, bought code, and developed various SaaS products for Fortune 500 companies. Subsequently, she started her second venture, School Skies. This initiative was launched in 2016 for digitizing the school administrative process. Dr. Praveena is responsible for strategizing and scaling this particular product. Welcome, Dr. Praveena.
Hi, Praveen. Thank you for those very nice words. And I thank TiE Chennai for this wonderful opportunity to share my experiences and challenges. Like she said, it's important that you speak about your challenges as well. So it's great being with you all today, and I hope whatever I share is going to be of some use to the entrepreneurial community as well.
Oh, absolutely. Because we'll have folks viewing in, we'll have folks listening in. End of the day, Praveena, it is what I learn from others that matters. I'm going to go ahead and make mistakes of my own. But when I learn from leaders and entrepreneurs, fellow entrepreneurs like you, there's so many nuances to these challenges that we can share about. But first up, please go ahead, tell us a bit more about you, Dr. Praveena, the entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you. So, my journey started back then in 2004-5, I would say. Like Jagdish and me are founders of BotCode, and just to put things in the perspective, Jagdish is the techie. He's actually a very, very technology font guy, and he's actually a doctor who can code. So that was his passion, purely driven by passion. We started back then in 2005 with, let's say, 2 computers, and our journey started along with our clinic as well. So we were running a clinic, and there were 2 computers in which we started helping, solving small technology problems for the US-based companies. So we did not think at that point that that would become our full-fledged career or an entrepreneurial journey. But it picked up from there, and then BotCode went on to provide services for Fortune 500 companies. To name a few would be about pharmaceuticals. We were trying to help them with finding out the fake products and those kind of stuff. And we also helped career websites for burnout groups. And there were a lot of other products that BotCode came up with. One to mention would be a MedAppointment. We came up with a medical platform, something like, which helps people fix appointments and also a bit of HMS solution. So that was something that I implemented in a few of the hospitals and clinics that we closely worked with. And of course, there were a couple of other products like WeChatify that we brought up in the China market, and we helped brands find their space in the Chinese market. So that is another one. And to be very specific, School Skies is something very close to my heart. It started back in 2014-15 as parent entrepreneurs.
We will come to School Skies in a bit, Praveena. Let's roll back into BotCode because it's extremely interesting for me, and I'm sure for the others in this episode as well. Fortune 500 products, you're mixing your medical background to providing software products for the same industry or the same space. Now, you mentioned China, you mentioned US. What was the biggest challenge for you for BotCode?
See, BotCode, the biggest challenge was, again, I think we started from scratch, from filing an ROC to getting a company up to recruiting people. Everything is new. And we always had this feel that we don't belong to the domain. So Jagdish was a passionate guy. He was, he knew technology by heart, but there was no formal education in that. So it was like everything was you learn and you do. So some things like, in fact, the first couple of computers we had to assemble ourselves, go to Ritchie Street, get an auto, get a, computers from there, put it on our, the first office started in our physiotherapy clinic. So it was a physiotherapy clinic with two computers. And I still remember putting on those, first motivational quotes on, the clinic saying that, okay, a journey starts. And it was like very less money. Like the initial order that Jagdish took was, I still remember, was like some $7 or something. That's what it started for. And with two people, and who will trust you? So people have to trust you, the founder. You don't have a big brand name. So there, I think most of them joined because it was Jagdish and me there who were motivating people, and we didn't choose domain experts. We were none. We were not ourselves domain experts. So we choose people from very, very, common, normal, no degrees, nothing. We had one or two people who were experts. We had these people train the others, and we had to build the firm. So that was definitely a challenge, considering that we did not have any prior experience or a big brand name, or ourselves, we are not experts in those fields. So it was purely driven by convention and the passion to go all out and get the company out. So I think that was a challenge, getting people and growing the company at low cost. So we were trying to do this at very low cost, because you will be filing your TDS, you will be doing your GSTs, you will be switching on and off the fans, and there are a lot of times when we come early and clean your computers, keyboards, and those kind of stuff. So it was a wonderful journey, I would say.
Beautiful, a typical startup story here, and it's so happy that you've grown not just from one to two, but sticking to bot code, and I'm bringing you back into sales. Was sales a challenge, and if so, what was the challenge about?
Yeah. So in bot code, yes, sales. We were trying to cater to the US market. So obviously there is a challenge there. So we had this initial client called Geosol who was giving us a few orders, and then that client just went away. You're just dependent on one client, and the client went away, and then you're like kind of depressed for a period of, you don't know what to do. It's like, I mean, is this called shutdown, or is it over for us, or should we go back and do something in retail or medical? And then you wait, you don't give up, you just wait, you have a team, you downsize the team, and you look for other opportunities. Then fortunately you get one more, you get a partner, or you get a co-founder, you get a salesperson in the US, then you try with them, then that works for some time, then that goes, and then you get another one. So this is, the continuity of the business was definitely a challenge. It was not just one complete business. We moved from one to the other, like Abbott happened. So that was a pharmaceutical company, and then Bernard Rhodes Group happened. So that's a career website that we did that went on for nearly 7 to 8 years, which was a very good revenue fetching model as well. So that was like, I think it's a persistence. It's like, one thing will lead to the other, and it's the waiting period that's very important. When you have a low, you just have to wait, and you have to believe and wait, and definitely something will click. That's what I still believe in. So it's that strong belief.
I will come to the waiting period in a bit, but sitting here selling into the US, how did you manage that?
So we had a couple of co-founders or partners. So they were bringing the business while we were running the complete office, helping them, realize the vision, what we had. And we found, gaps in the market, or where technology from India could actually solve those problems. Came up with SaaS products and, services that could address those gaps. So the administrative part, the HR part, and execution was completely taken care by BotCode here.
Now, getting back to the waiting period, all of us as entrepreneurs have gone through that. And at some point, it's confusing, it's stomach wrenching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what went through your mind during your waiting period.
See, I think doubt, self-doubt, all these are very major part of entrepreneur's life. It's unlike a profession. So I can confidently say this because I've also been a professional. So when you are a doctor or a clinician, you wait in your clinic and people come to you, and it's like, if not today, tomorrow somebody will come. But you're set in this, frame for a long, long, long period. But whereas in an entrepreneurship, I mean, that business is gone. There is this client who's been giving you so many dollars per month, and that's gone. So now what next? It is like you may have to learn a whole set of new skills That's you should be open to that. And to us, just imagine, I had 10 years of BDS and 3 years of almost 10 years of a medical journey, and you kind of absorb whatever you learned in that, and you learn a whole set of entrepreneurial skills, and you go to IM and you learn all those kind of other lateral skills, and you're not worried about what has gone behind. You're worried of what lies ahead, and there is always doubt. There is no, and you count on your options when you're on the waiting period. I mean, is it worth the wait? Do we have to sustain here and still find your next business here, or go back to a job or do something in the medical side or do something in the retail? So it's there. But what is very important is you should not lose your confidence. I think the positivity is what brings you to the next step. So if you're positive that you can create an impact, if you're positive that you can, go ahead and scale, and if you're mentally strong, I think the next step will happen automatically.
Do you think, Praveena, at this point, because your co-founder is a husband, that helped you during the waiting period or not? And I can ask you with full confidence because I run a couple of businesses with my wife. So.
Yes, I would say that it did help. You're kind of married in business and in real life. So the trust factor is comparatively a lot more. And the thing, you kind of, when you live together, you kind of think each other's thought and you become like each other. So it helps. Otherwise, what would happen is if your husband is going on a journey which you don't understand, so there's going to be a gap in your personal life. Now, at least you know that he's on a journey which you completely understand, which you relate with. So I think it is a positive, and it's a win-win because there's no give out, there's no payout, there's no co-founder issues majorly. So all that is quite a win-win. So I think to me at least it helped. Of course, one negative, or I won't even say negative, one challenge is that you bring a lot of office talk into your house. You kind of become, partners in business. Even at home, it's the same talk. Even your kids start talking the same language. For example, my son presented in the TiE Young Entrepreneur Program, and every time on breakfast, it's like, see, mommy, this is the company that I'm going to start. This is what I'm going to be selling. So it kind of becomes very, business-like even in the house, which I'm trying to kind of avoid and make it, simple and family-like. So that's the only thing.
Well, just as a segue here, my wife and I have been in business now for 11 years together. The first couple of years was tough with office work at home and home issues there. And God forbid, when we had a fight, as normal couples do, we can't bring it to the office, but then things will be curt as ever. It took us 2 to 3 years to sort that part out. But I think with the company growth, and each of us got busy. But yeah, I have to give it to you that that's a solid support system that you have, because folks understand
each other.
Now, from Podcode, what inspired you to start School Skies?
Yeah, so that's again a very interesting journey. So School Skies is something we started as parents. So we've completely, I would say it's a parent entrepreneurial journey. So my kids go to one of the good schools in Chennai here. And we as parents who were running a software company already, and me especially being involved in the parental group and all that, so I could sense, there is a lot of lag between, the digitization that's happening in schools and the digitization that's happening in the other sectors. So definitely schools were behind. And so that is the time when we went and told the school management that, listen, we are running a software company and we can make a positive impact here. We want to see our kids' school, be digitally well equipped and transformed. So let's start somewhere. And immediately the principal was very happy and he said, that's fantastic, because knowing that we are already into software and we are parents. So, and the idea was purely to create an impact. So we started off with their, small things like communication portal, their website, all their data would be lost so easily because they were hosted on the internal servers. So we took it to the cloud. So it began like that, and we got, more and more involved. And then the school started supporting us at some point because it needed a cost factor there. So we kind of did a complete research in that school, and it was based on the inputs given by the teachers, parents, and the challenges that the school faced. So every single thing was taken out, ironed out, and a module was created. So that was a very interesting journey because we went into the nitty-gritties. So if you just develop a communication platform, you will have a challenge there. So there will be some parent who's going to say something that is offensive. So how do we filter that? So we got into all the nitty-gritties, and there's a lot of granularity in every module we've built. For example, when the government said the kids should not take bags which are very heavy, that leads to health issues. So they put up that. Then we came up with this module called Books to Bring, where actually the weight of the books was weighed, and we ensured that it does not exceed 10% of the kid's body weight. So to that extent, we built, research and brought in modules. We were covered by Hindu and TOI for those kind of modules. And in fact, we put in the first AI chatbots for parents on the school website. So that helps parents understand when the admissions is happening, and what are the things that are happening in the school. So it removed a lot of front desk work for the school, helping the school handle the more important academic part. So like this back and forth, we've gone to build this product back then. Little did we think that we will take it to the market at all. So that's something interesting again I should share.
And Praveena, you did this while continuing to run bot code. So technically it's a parallel entrepreneurship that you have.
Correct. It's definitely a parallel entrepreneurship.
How did you handle the people, the recruitment? How did that go?
That again helped because Jagdish was majorly taking care of the US products and I was completely sitting on this. So, and it started with help from school, I must say. So because there was a school who was supporting us and it was difficult, there was some diversion, and this was in the Indian market and we were pretty much new to the Indian market. So again, the sales in the Indian market was difficult, and to analyze what schools need, especially the school segments, to understand the school segment, to go and meet principals out there, every day meeting 2 or 3 principals, asking their feedbacks over the next 1 year, 2 years, and understanding what will work for them. All this was a huge and challenge, and it was interesting. So it was a big learning.
Sales to the US versus completely changing sales into the Indian market, more specifically the school market. From what I have heard, I'm not in that market, it's an extremely tough sell, Praveena. How did you manage that?
Yeah, I think it is the trust that principals and educators had on us. I would still say it is a very tough sell because the biggest challenge for anybody who is entering the school market is this. The thing is, if you miss a month in school, you miss a year. So the sales cycle is tough. So it's like that, the quarter June to August, or then again it is December to January, the admission time. And then again, it's the next year. If you go back and you tell them, see, I've got this wonderful product, hey, you want to take this, and they'd be like, ma'am, the next budgeting will happen only next year. So it's goodbye to you, kind of. So the sales cycle is very tough, and convincing educators at different levels. See, you'll have to start from your administrators, teachers, and the higher end decision makers. So you'll have to include all of them in your, your sales pitch or whatever. So that is again a challenge. Yes, we did learn that slowly.
The kind of people that you would need from an Indian local sales perspective, or in general, even from supporting this clientele. Yeah. In my opinion, that itself is a fairly big challenge for you to sort out. So how did you handle it, Praveena, for schools?
Yes. So initially, the support part, like you said, was very difficult because schools need a lot of hand-holding. So they would come back to you, they're going digital the first time, they used to circulars, making notes, and even starting from the computer, everything needs to be, taught in a very systematic way. Initially, we were having issues. So it was like the support was given, most of the times I used to answer the calls, and there used to be one person who used to answer the calls. And when the call comes, we used to go. And slowly we put in a process where we took everything online. So we kind of, we believe in digital transformation. It's not a solution you give and you walk away. You evangelize the entire school community. So you go there, and I started giving a lot of lectures on, education transformation and how going digital will help. So any school I onboard, there is definitely 2 or 3 lectures that I give on, how this can actually empower you. So once the school administrators, teachers believe that they're getting empowered, then it's a lot more easier to implement the solution. If they feel that you're actually throwing work on them, then that's not going to work. So this is something that we've learned, and we made them come online. So now we have teachers, even in fact, we have a school in Sholtu who comes online on Zoom and asks us how to do this. So there's no more going to, Himachal Pradesh or Sholtu sitting there and helping them figure out or iron out their problems. So I think it's a change of mindset that you'll need to work towards.
Purely on a cheeky note, the fact that you are a doctor, did that help You in your sales process in hospital, in
100%.
schools.
100% it helps. So there's a very high credibility when you come as a founder and a doctor, and whatever it is, by heart you're a doctor, you're not a salesperson. So that intention to deliver is very high. So the intention to make things work is much higher than just the intention to sell. So I think people can see that. So, and you've been an academician as well. So I worked as a lecturer, associate, assistant professor in colleges. I've taught medical and dental students. So they can see that you're an educator, you're passionate about what you're doing, and the credibility is definitely more than just being a salesperson. With due respect to all the salespeople there out.
Well, as an entrepreneur, you've got to take every advantage that we already have in hand.
Yeah.
Now, a question comparing two businesses, because you are at the unique situation where you've got learnings coming in from both, which are interchangeable. And I'm quite curious to know what kind of osmosis happened between these two separate businesses.
Yes, I think there was a great osmosis as far as getting technology into the Indian market was there, because a lot of developers, in fact, the developers who worked on the US product worked on School Skies. So building the product was a lot easier and it was more robust. So if you see the School Skies UI or how it works, all that will be really robust because we had cross-posted a lot of our colleagues on this, and so that way I think that was one area that really helped, and people very willingly stepped in. Our team here at Podcore willingly stepped in to build the School Skies product. They'd be very interested to try something on School Skies first before they push it to the US market, and whenever there was time, they'll try and build new modules and they would test it, and those kind of osmosis in the product development definitely did happen.
Oh, beautiful. From putting on my operations hat, Praveena, that basically means the idle time is minimized. You finish work in this, then you also got something else to work on or experiment with.
Yes.
Nice. Very nice. Now, moving over to Praveena, not the entrepreneur, but who you are outside the entrepreneur sphere. What are your interests, Praveena?
Yes, like I have got a couple of interests. I do read. I read some of the good books, that kind of self-motivating kind of books. And I've been part of Toastmasters International for more than 3 years. And I won't shy away from saying that I won a couple of competitions as well. I won on the district level for evaluation and speech competitions. So I think that was a very huge learning for me, because I think a very important skill for entrepreneurship would be to express yourself. It's not just merely speaking, but when you express without fear, when you're not afraid to say what you are, when you have people asking you, why would you do this? You already have a company and you already have a profession. It's like, I'm doing this because I believe this is going to take me somewhere and this is going to impact. So to even analyze what you're feeling from within starts with the expression of speech. So I think Toastmasters International is what taught me, is one that taught me that. And of course, I have a diploma in yoga, which I did between my 12th and my BDS, so 1 year. And I practice yoga regularly. I even tried my advanced stints and all that, though I didn't succeed. So at a certain level, I do. And I regularly walk and gym. So fitness has always been my go-to. I think I would recommend fitness as a big antidote for anything negative in life. So the moment you sweat it, all your fears, all your negativity goes away. That's something I would always vouch for. You start your day with sweat and you keep smiling. So
that coming from a doctor, I will have to take it.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Now, you have already connected the dots here, but to me, Praveena, there's a significant learning from, of course, the one client dependency is the scourge that a lot of startup entrepreneurs, including you and I, have, which is something that we would need to plan for. That is a big challenge that you had. Business continuity. What do we do in the waiting period? And that's when we are tested the most. Each of us handles it differently. But the one key learning from me from this is your quote that if you miss 1 month, you miss 1 year. That's true for you from a school cycle perspective for India. But isn't that the case for us in bulk of the sales deals that we deal with? We need to understand the client, the cycle, the decision-making cycle.
Yes.
And that is one clear big takeaway for me. Finishing off with one question, you said you read a lot. What is the one big business book that you just finished or impacted you the most?
I wouldn't say it's a business book, but I read this book again and again. That is Robin Sharma's "Who Will Cry When You Die." So
Yes.
I think that is sort of life changing. I've taken a lot of points from those. It's very simple points, but put in a very nice way, and it reinforces your thoughts. All those things that you thought you were doing doubtfully is there on that book. So it's a very beautiful book which says that when you're born in this world, everybody rejoices and you cry. So when you leave the world, you rejoice, and people should cry, which means you make an impact and you go away with the satisfaction that you did what you wanted to do finally. So I think that's a fantastic book. And I would say it's a business book as well. There are a lot of tips for an entrepreneur there.
Lovely. Well, my way of learning is working with TiE and coming out with this discussion series, Praveena. There's a considerable learning and you can pack it through in 20 minutes, which is what we have done. So thank you very much for investing half an hour with us, Praveena.
Thank you, Praveen. I think it was a wonderful chat that we had. And thank you, Taikon, for this wonderful opportunity. And I think you guys really rock. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.